Unit 28, questions 87 to 91. Okay, so flexor muscles contract to bend each leg, forcing them upwards, indicating various nerves pathways. Okay, big note. When they have a note in bold, it's usually important. When they have a note and it's not in bold, you never know. But when it's bold, you got to read it. So the swing phase corresponds to the time when the foot is off the ground. The stance phase starts when a foot returns to the ground and finishes when the foot leaves the ground once again. Okay, so of the following, the element that most directly, okay, that's worth underlying, most directly triggers a switch from swing to stance are the, okay, so that most directly triggers from swing to stance. So let's, by looking at the diagram, okay, and they've got the cuticle stress receptors, affect the extensors, and flexor burst generator, but a little bit indirectly. The hair receptors. So when you look at the hair receptors, you'll notice that the hair receptors has a pathway R and a pathway Q and a pathway U. Now, the hair receptors pathways that lead away from the hair receptors, when it goes to U, you see that it stimulates the extensors. And when from hair receptors you go from Q, you see that it inhibits the flexor burst generator, which affects the flexors. And also, the hair receptors are affected by the flexors. So the flexors have an effect on the hair receptors. So of all the ones that have an effect, they have an effect on both the extension and flexion. And so hair receptors would be the best answer, 87B. 88, when the central command neurons are stimulating flexor burst generator, during the swing phase, the impulses travel past point S. So flexor burst generator, okay, travel point S. Okay, you can see there that at point S, now it can go to T and V. So it can stimulate T and V, and that means that it will flex and then inhibit the extensors. That's what's going to happen at that point. So which of the following would be active? The nerve pathways marked at, and it would be T and V only would be active. One would be stimulating, one would be inhibiting, but they both be active. And they have Y. Y is coming from cuticle stress receptors. It's not related. So 88, the answer is C. 89, of the following situations, nerve impulses pass point S at the most frequent rate. Okay, when would they pass point S at the most frequent way? Well, if you just look at the diagram, it's stimulating flexors and it's going to inhibit extensors. So you are talking about flexion swing, which is going on. So when impulses from the cuticle receptors are most frequent, no. The purpose of the flexors is swing, not extension. And when impulses, no. Mid-stance phase, no. That's extension. And in the middle of the swing phase. Okay, now we've got it. So 89 is D. And 90. If the nerve pathway were cut through at point W, so taking a look at point W, if the nerve pathway is cut at point W, that would remove something for the extension. If the nerve were cut at point W, extension could, well, yeah, even without W, of course it could affect extension, but even without W, the flexor burst generator can operate even without the CNS. This is part of the paragraph 2. It says the flexor burst generator for the leg is a group of cells pacemaker, so it can even fire without the central nervous system, without any nerves. And even if it didn't have that paragraph, you can see in the figure 1 the importance of the flexor burst generator and how it is attached to both flexors and extensions and so on. So if the nerve was cut, extension could be initiated and terminated because there's stimulation and inhibition of the extensors that are not relying on any central pathway. So 90C is the answer. 91, the load is removed from a leg at the end of the stance phase. Okay, so a load, which is like a weight, is removed at the end of the stance phase, and when that's, then you can have flexion. Of the following, the most immediate increase in the rate at which impulses travel past a point occurs at... Okay, so this is after the load has been removed, so it's the end of the stance phase. So I'm thinking flexion, the need for extension has been removed. Okay, so the need for extension is no longer there. So I'm looking at X, going through the answer choices. X stimulates the extensors. We don't need any extensor stimulation. Stance is over. So Y is going to have a negative impact on the flexor burst generator, and that can stimulate right. If you have a negative impact on the flexor burst generator, then it will not stimulate the flexors and it will not inhibit the extensors. So, but we want the extensors inhibited and we want the flexors to start working now because the load is over. So Y is not helping. C, U. So U is stimulating the extensors. We don't want that. And V. V is inhibiting the extensors. Bingo. So time for flexion. Not reflection, but flexion. But actually, it's also time for reflection. Anyways, if you want to read about the musculoskeletal system, you can go to section Bio 11.2 for background information.